Hi, this is Katie. I'm at a park that has a dog park right next to me, and there's a bunch of dogs there, so if you hear barking, that's why. So in today's video, okay, I want to share with you over the last 10 years that I've been traveling on and off every single time that my car broke down or had any issue at all, where maybe my battery died or anything that happened that I had to call my roadside assistance or anything like that. I just want to share with you all the situations that ever happened with my car, because most of them, even when they were happening, I never shared with you. I don't know why, but I just never did. And so I just thought that I would make like one whole collective video of basically all the car trouble that I've had over the years, anytime my car has broken down or anything like that, because I'm sure that you guys are curious. I've been traveling on and off for 10 years, and I just want to share this with you. And I thought of doing it today because I had some car trouble today. So I'll tell you guys about that too, a little car drama, if you will. But yeah, if you're interested in this video, I really hope that you're subscribed, and I hope that you keep watching. And let me preface this by saying I'm not telling you these things to deter you or to scare you or to make you think, oh, I can never go on a road trip by myself because what if that happens to me? No, first of all, if anything like this does happen to you, you will be able to deal with it, especially if you have roadside assistance. I always recommend getting that, but also you will be able to handle if something happens with your car. If you're living in your car and something bad happens and you have to drop it off at a dealership or a mechanic, then you get a hotel for a couple days, or you try to stay with a friend, or you do something. One of the things that I've learned so much about being on the road is how capable I am, and kind of like how scrappy I can be. Like if something happens, I will figure out how to deal with it, because you kind of have to, you know, like you are forced into these situations and you will figure them out. Again, remember that all these happened over the stretch of the past like 10 years. And even when they were happening, most of them were not really big deals. And so I never want to deter you, because if you travel alone, especially if you travel alone for years, yeah, there is a chance that your car might break down or that you might have an issue with your car. But that should never, ever, ever be a reason to not travel. You know, if you don't want to travel, that's different. But if you feel in your gut, if you feel in your soul that you want to be on the road, that you want to be on a road trip or live in your car or do something like that, then don't let the fear of the unknown of, oh, what if my car breaks down? What if this happens? Don't let that fear stop you, because even if it does happen, you will handle it. And even something horrific happening is very unlikely, you know? So like, don't let that fear stop you. Do not get scared, just be prepared. And so have something like a AAA or roadside assistance. And if you want to learn how to, you know, change your tire and how to check your air pressure and those kind of things, that would be really good too. So anyway, just do not want to deter you, but I just want to be honest about some things that have happened to me over the past 10 years. So should I go in like chronological order? I'm going to get comfy, even though I have my shoes on, but I'm going to get comfy. Should I go in chronological order? I think the first one was pretty simple. I think I was staying at my friend's house in Nashville, and I went to turn my car on and it wouldn't start. So the battery was just dead, and I called my roadside assistance and they came and they jumped my battery, but they really recommended me getting a new battery. So then I just drove to Toyota and got a new battery. That was the first time. That was really it. So that wasn't really me on the road. That was just me having some car trouble. But while I was at my friend's house, that was the first thing that was not really a big deal at all. That even barely even counts. Does that even count? Should that even be in this video? Probably not, but I'm going to tell you anyway. That was one of the first times that I had to call my roadside assistance. Something else that happened around that time, I was in California, and I think I was staying in LA and was taking a couple day trip to San Diego, or was it the opposite? No, I think that's what it was. I think I was staying in LA and I was staying in my car, and I was going to San Diego with one of my friends and just taking like a few little day trip in San Diego. On our drive down to San Diego, I got a flat tire. That was the one and only time in my entire life of having this car, such a good car, baby girl, that I ever got a flat tire. And so basically, since I was with my friend and I had roadside assistance, but he had AAA, and I don't remember why we ended up just calling his instead of mine, but we did. And they came and changed my tire for me. Could we have done it ourselves? Yeah, maybe, but it was like late and we were just like, let's just call AAA. They will do it. And so they changed my tire, and then we were on our merry way. And then I think just the next day, I just ended up getting a new tire because I did not want to drive on that donut, obviously. But yeah, so that was just one time in my entire life that I had a flat tire, and it was just on a highway driving to San Diego, but we just pulled over to the side of the road, and then roadside assistance came and changed our tire. So again, really not a big deal. In the times that it's happening, it might be like, oh, this sucks. But there is something, for me at least, when I'm like living in my car or on an extended road trip or like living out of my car or whatever, and something like that happens, it's like less stressful for me. I don't really know how to explain it. It's less stressful for me. I'm just more like, you know what? I have to deal with this right now. And so I'm going to deal with it. I don't even have time to be anxious or stressed about it. And I just also continue to get reminded of how capable I am and how much I actually can get done. But it's interesting because if something like that happened 10 minutes from my house, if I was like living in a house and I got a flat tire 10 minutes from my house, I would probably get more stressed. So I think there's some weird comfort of like living in a house where it's like if anything happens, it even seems more like a big deal. But when I'm on the road, I kind of know that life is a little bit less predictable. And so when something happens, I'm just more likely to be like, yeah, this is just part of the adventure, you know? But if I'm staying in a house and I'm just, oh, this is comfortable. And if my life is just, I'm sleeping in the same bed every night and my life has a little bit more routine to it or something like that, when I've had those stages of my life, if I have something like a flat tire or whatever, I would get more anxious. I would get more angry because it's something that's like taking me out of that comfort zone. But when I'm on the road, I'm already out of my comfort zone all the time. And it's how everyone grows. It's how I grow. It's how you grow. But it also is just a reminder to me that like, yes, I can handle this. But when I'm just on the road, like I'm handling little things that you don't have to handle when you're in a house every day, right? Even just finding a place to use the restroom if my stomach hurts is something that I have to deal with on the road, but it's not a big deal. It's just something that I have to do. If I'm staying in a house and I'm at the grocery store and my stomach hurts, I'm going to be a little bit more anxious because it's just a like larger step from I'm comfortable in my house to my stomach hurts at the grocery store. That's a larger like gap versus if I'm staying in my car, I just feel more capable of doing things and I already feel the adventure. So if my stomach hurts in a grocery store, I'm like, all right, whatever, who cares? I don't know if I'm explaining that well, but it just does feel very different when I'm on the road. If a little thing happens to my car or if a little thing happens to me, I'm just more like, all right, no, I'm just going to deal with it. I'm just going to handle it because I have to. And when I'm in a house or something, you know, if I was staying at a house and I got a flat tire, I could drive on that donut for a few days, or I could just drive home and then just chill out at my house for a few days. But when I'm on the road, I have to get it taken care of immediately. And I know for myself, the longer like I put something off or procrastinate, the more stressed I get. And so when I'm on the road, I also have to handle things pretty immediately. And so it does decrease the stress for me. So anyway, just as a little input of that. But so these things that I'm mentioning, some of them maybe while they were happening were a little bit stressful, but not very stressful. Some of them weren't stressful at all. And I also know for a fact they would have been more stressful for me if I was staying in a house because the gap between the comfort in a house to the discomfort of something happening to my car versus me being on an adventure in my car to something happening in my car, it's just a completely different thing. So I hope that I kind of explained that right. Anyway, another thing that happened that I actually think may have been the first thing that happened. This might not be in chronological order, but there was one time that I think I was in Omaha and I was stopping like to get lunch. So I was parked in a parking lot. And when I leave my car, right, when I'm like parked and I'm getting out of my car, I take my keys, I open my door, I lock my door from the lock thing on the door, and then I shut the door. And then I take my keys in my hand and I like lock it again. Like I like make sure that it's locked by hitting the lock button on my key again. This was the one time in my entire life that when I was in Omaha at this restaurant, I opened my door, got out of my car, hit the lock button on my door, closed my door, and then I realized that my car key fell off of my keychain and was sitting on my driver's seat. It was the only time in my entire life that I locked my key in my car. And it was not even because I forgot it. It was because it fell off my keychain. And again, I was in Omaha. I was living in my car at the time. And so I didn't really get stressed that this happened. And so for me, I was like, all right, cool. What do? I had my phone. So I called a locksmith. Easy. Like I just Googled a locksmith, called one. And while I was on the phone with the locksmith, I was kind of like on the phone, like looking in my car, like, oh yeah, like the key's right there. I just need to get into my car, blah, blah, blah. Someone, and this was like during the day in like a parking lot, right? And someone saw me and came up to me and he's like, hey, are you okay? And he was with his kid and was being super friendly. Like it did not come off as creepy, but obviously if someone comes up to you, like really, you know, kind of have your guard up and deal with that at your own risk. But he was with his kid and I felt totally fine talking to him. And I was still on the phone with the locksmith, but I told this guy like, yeah, just lock my key in my car, but I'm on the phone with the locksmith, you know, like no big deal. They'll be here soon. And he's like, I work for a car dealership or a mechanic or something. He's like, I work for a car place. He's like, and we have those tools to get into your car. He's like, I can just grab them and help you if you want. And I ended up saying yes. And again, do that at your own risk. I understand, but I ended up saying yes. And so he ended up literally like helping me get into my car and I got my key and I said, thank you. And then I went and had lunch and everything was fine. If that did not happen, the locksmith would have came and helped me do the same thing. But this guy was very friendly. And even while he was like getting into my car, I think it was a son son. And I think he was like early teens or so. And he said something like, oh yeah, my dad is always helping people like this, you know? So he just kind of was one of those people who was just very helpful. And he got into my car and I got my key and it was no problem. Again, I really think if something like that happened while I was like right now, like if that happened right now when I am very close to where I'm staying, it is just like a really interesting thing that I think it would cause me more stress. But when I'm on the road, I'm just like, nah, I'm handling everything. Like I just can feel more capable. And maybe that is because a lot of what I'm doing on the road is just more out of my comfort zone. And so I just even can see all this stuff that I can take care of and that I am capable of doing. But also some of these things might, to some of you, never be a big deal, you know, but to some people it might stress them out. You know, I just can tell for me that there is just a difference when I'm on the road, that certain things just stress me out less. Certain things might stress me out more, of course, but certain things like this stress me out less. So that was one of the other times that my car didn't break down necessarily, but I had like an issue where I locked my key in my car because it fell off my keychains. But anyway, so a couple of years ago when I was living in Nashville, I did a meetup and I did a little like meet and greet. Some of my friends came and some of you guys came and we just kind of all hung out at this park for a couple hours and it was really, really fun. And we took some pictures and stuff. And I think we played pin the tail on the donkey. I'm pretty sure we did, but it was really fun. And so after the meetup was done, I got back to my car to turn my car on to go home and my car wouldn't start. And I was like, okay, I got here fine. Like my car was totally fine when I got here. So I don't know what's going on. And so I called like all my friends and everyone left already. So I was just by myself in this parking lot. I called roadside assistance because I had no clue what was going on. And they came and they're like, it looks like you're out of gas. And I'm like, I've never run out of gas in my entire life. I actually made a video about this a few years ago, you might remember. I've never run out of gas in my entire life. I've always talked about how, especially if you're on the road, never go below like a third of a tank or a quarter tops, you know, but like I really am pretty good on making sure that I'm either near a gas station so I know if it does start blinking, I'll be fine, or if I'm on a road trip to make sure that like I really do not go below a certain level. But so this time I was like, I never run out of gas. Like that is crazy. I've never done that in my entire life. And so he's like, well, he's like, you might have a leak or something. And the Toyota dealership was just a couple miles away and my roadside assistance did cover towing, like for a certain mileage or whatever. And so we got someone to tow my car. And I was actually in the tow truck with the guys to the Toyota dealership. And I don't remember if they were closed or what, but we ended up having to just like drop my car off at Toyota because they thought there may have been like a leak in my gas tank. And I was like, this is just so weird. But again, I was staying pretty close to there. So I called my roommate and he picked me up and I was like, you know what? Can we just like go get like a little gas container thing and fill it up with gas and put gas in my car and see if that helps it? Because maybe I did just really run out of gas and I just didn't know, you know, like maybe there isn't a hole or anything. Maybe I just ran out of gas and just somehow did that, even though I've never done it in my entire life, but maybe that's what happened. And so we went, got a little container thing, got some gas, put it in my car, and my car turned on and it was totally fine. So like as much as it was like, oh, maybe there's something really wrong with your car. No, in reality, I just ran out of gas and I just didn't know. And so that was, again, totally fine. It was not really a huge deal. It was a little stressful at the time because I did not know what was going on, but it literally just ended up being totally fine. I just ran out of gas, which was really dumb. But again, I'm glad I had roadside assistance and I'm glad that my roommate was there to help me and pick me up and help me get gas and stuff. But my car was totally fine. It did not need to be checked at all. It just ran out of gas. So that was like, duh, Katie. But anyway, all right. So the next thing that happened, I don't think I told you guys. I think I was gonna, but then I was like, oh, Katie, this is so dumb. Like this happened like a year or two ago when I was in Bozeman, Montana, which you guys know is like my favorite place in the world. And I parked at the place that I was sleeping that night. And, you know, I shut my car off and I was putting up all the stuff to get ready to sleep. I was covering my windows, putting up t-shirts and stuff. And I got ready to sleep and I went to sleep. And I woke up the next morning and my car would not start. And I was like, cool, great. But again, I have roadside assistance, so it was not a big deal. And I knew that they would come help me with whatever was going on. So I called my roadside assistance. And I had to wait like an hour for them to come. Generally, it's within an hour that they arrive, at least with the roadside assistance that I have, because they connect to someone local and then they send someone out. Usually takes within an hour. And this was pretty early in the morning and someone arrived. And I don't remember if it was like right before he arrived or maybe right after or what, but I realized, this is so dumb. I realized that I left my lights on all night. All night. And again, this is like the only time this has ever happened to me. I've never, ever done that before. I'm such a checker. Like I'm always checking that my lights are off, that my car is locked, that my straightener is unplugged in the house. Like I'm always checking things multiple times. And so the fact that I left my lights on is ridiculous to me. Like that is something that does not seem like it's in the realm of possibility for Katie Carney to do. The funniest part of it And I like cannot believe I'm admitting to you because this was such like a dumb thing that I did. That night, like the night before that I was going to sleep, I noticed that someone in the parking lot had their lights on because it was really dark. Montana gets really dark at night. I noticed that someone had their lights on. For some reason, I did not even remotely think that it could have been me. I didn't even think to check because I always check them. And for some reason, I did not even think to check, but it was me. They were my lights. My lights were on all night. And so the guy just had to come and jump my battery, and it was totally fine. My battery wasn't like dead. I did not need like a new one or anything. It just died in the way that I needed to get it jumped, and then it was totally fine. But I just kind of felt a little stupid that I left my lights on all night. And I noticed that someone had their lights on, and it was me. And I just never thought to check. Oh, that was a dumb one. But they came, jumped my car, not a big deal. Ended up doing whatever I did that day, not a big deal. Hey guys, obviously it's a different day. I was editing that footage and realized it was gonna be a really long video, so I decided to cut it into two. So this is gonna be the end of part one of any time I've ever had any car trouble while I was living in my car or on the road, or even sometimes when I was staying in one place. Anytime I've had any car trouble, this is the end of part one, but I am gonna be doing a part two, and that's gonna be posted next Tuesday. Part two is gonna have two more stories, one of which is like the most serious time that my car has ever broken down. And then I'm also gonna tell you the story about the most recent time that I had car trouble. And those two stories are just longer stories, so I wanted to make them into their own separate video. That's gonna be posted next Tuesday. So if you liked this video and you're interested in a part two or just any other travel videos, road trip videos, lifestyle videos from me, I really hope that you're subscribed to this channel. And yeah, I guess that's gonna be it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. I love you, Jesus loves you, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.